Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Planning Commission meeting. I ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Okay. Jenna, could we have roll call, please?
Sure.
We're falling apart over on this end.
Commissioner Grabowski.
Here.
Commissioner Haas. Here. Oh, we're going to, okay. Trustee Roberts.
Here.
President Knudsen.
Here.
And then Commissioner Lang and Commissioner Bell are excused.
Okay, item 2 on the evening this evening is the public hearing. First one is conditional use grant request of applicant Luth Properties LLC and CO Chris Luth to construct a 3-stall garage addition off the west end of an existing multi-tenant business building on the site at an offset to the lot lines less than required by code. This .16 acre property located at 112 Main Street is Zone B2 Downtown Business District. I hereby open up the public hearing. Anybody want to make a comment as it relates to that subject? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing on that one. Item B, conditional use grant request to property owner applicant Michael Reimer, NCO contractor David Leaf to construct a new detached garage on his .2 acre R5 single-family residential zoned lot, i.e. 423 Main Street at an offset and setback from the side and street and front lot lines less than required by code. I hereby open up that public hearing at this time.
Okay. We're Michelle and David.
Well, you gotta come up to the thing and state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Don't know how to do this, so there's a couple of questions that were in there. I'm David Leaf. I'm a friend. I'm sort of like generaling it, but Professional Construction Inc. is actually doing the work on it. There was a couple of points that were raised in the comments, and I don't know if this would be a good time to address them or not.
So you can make the comments here if the commission has specific questions as they begin their discussion on the agenda item. They can give you an opportunity.
Okay.
There's something you want to address. The commission can't have it back and forth now.
Okay.
But if there's something that you want to address ahead of time, now is your opportunity. The commission can give you an opportunity later too.
Thank you for the guidance. There's 2 points I think I would like to make. The packets that was distributed had a second page with a lot of narrative that went with it. It addressed a couple of the issues. I don't know if you'd seen that second page. Because it did address some of the drainage because the slab would be raised to help with the drainage a little bit. The grade would be corrected by constructing the garage 4 to 6 inches higher.
Okay.
And there was one comment about,
Yep. So that is in the packet. There is a narrative that's included, so the commission does have that.
okay, it wasn't in the packet that we got, so we didn't know it was in there or not. So then I think we'll just wait for the
Okay.
regular process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then we will close that public hearing. And the last one for this evening is conditional use grant request of applicant Logic Design and Architect, Inc., NCO Adam Stein, to add a food pickup window on the east building elevation, add an outdoor seating dining area, and make related site plan amendments in support of the restaurant use in the eastmost tenant space of this multi-tenant business building site located at 1350 Capitol Drive. This 2.63 acre B1 community business zone property is owned by Shevlin Properties, the third LLC, NCO Larry Shevlin. I hereby open up the public hearing as it relates to that particular matter. Anybody here that would like to make a comment?
I'm Adam Stein. I'm the architect on the project. Larry, the owner. Mark Seidel, the civil engineer, and Scott, who's the broker on the project. So Could answer any questions that you guys have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we're going to close that particular topic. We'll move right on to, whoops, I just lost my screen. Citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with commission members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the commission is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the commission. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address. This is open for any type of discussion that you would like to make, Packer loss,
No.
Christmas, whatever. No?
No, it's not.
No, nothing like that, okay. Is there anybody here that would like to make a comment? Okay, then we're gonna move right on. Item 4, approval of the regular planning commission meeting November 9th, 2023. This is the minutes, and I hope everybody's had a chance to look them over. Any questions, corrections, or comments as the way they are presented this evening? If not, can I have a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to motion to approve as presented by Grabowski.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are hereby adopted. Number 5, old business, we have none. Number 6, new business. Conditional use grant request of applicant Luth Properties LLC and CO Chris Luth to construct a 3-stall garage addition off to the west end of an existing multi-tenant business on this site in an offset to the lot lines less than required by code. This .16 acre property located at 112 Main Street is Zone B2 Downtown Business District. Is there any questions or comments from the Planning Commission as it relates to this topic?
A couple, if we're not going to have staff review it. Mary, just want to make sure, because it's not clear from this information, the parking spots that are behind the building, are those parking spots that are meant to meet the on-site parking requirement? And if so, does having a garage removing 3 of those still make it compliant?
It doesn't change it, whether those stalls are enclosed or unenclosed. They're still stalls
Okay.
provided in support of the use of that building.
Okay,
So the quantity isn't changing, just that 3 of them will not be enclosed.
okay. And it looks, from the picture at least, like the adjacent properties are hard surface parking lots, correct?
They are.
Okay, so it really doesn't impact the neighboring properties. And then in the engineering report, there's a recommendation for adding gutters and downspouts to make sure that the water doesn't, the runoff doesn't go onto the neighboring properties. Has that been addressed
I haven't seen anything yet.
by the applicant? Are you aware of the request from the engineer's report?
I'm going to interject here because I'm not sure, Tim, if you saw the plan that was submitted after your reports had come in.
Okay.
And it does move the building 2 feet off that
Oh, okay.
side lot line. So there is now an overhang, and gutters can be supplied on that side.
Okay.
So I'm sure that the requirement to provide a drainage plan solution, I'm sure one will be able to be designed, will continue through Tim's report.
So let me ask the applicant, is there a plan then to include gutters and downspouts to control the runoff from going on the neighboring properties?
Yes, actually, it's on the new design or the new print, and the downspout will go directly down, and we'll create a gutter. And I think it's actually in the plans too, where all the water will be going away from basically the American Legion building, which is south of us. That's why I moved the building in 2 feet as well.
Okay, all right. All right, those are my only questions.
Any other
Concerns?
questions or comments from the commission?
Mary, which plans are in the packet? The ones you?
The up-to-date plans are in the packet. Yep.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion including and adding the downspouts and gutters?
Well, that's already in the plan, so we wouldn't need, right?
And it's in the engineer's recommendations.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve with the planner and engineer's recommendations.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is the engineer and Mary, are you both okay with everything?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby granted. Conditional use grant request of property owner applicant Michael Reimer, NCO contractor David Leaf to construct a new detached garage on his .2 acre R5 single-family residential zone property at 423 Main Street with an offset and setback from the side and street front lot lines less than required by code. Again, has everybody read and understand what we're looking at here? And are there any questions or comments from the commission to the experts?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured you would be. I'll just go to you from now on.
So, question, Mary, so as the existing building is today, it would be defined as a legal non-conforming, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It looks like from the write-up here that some of these modifications, no, let me rephrase that. Does the Plan Commission have the authority to waive setback differences when that's the non-compliant element?
No, it's the lot size that causes it to be,
Oh, I thought it was the setback amounts not being within code.
no, it's because it's a non-conforming lot. That
I
they
see.
become eligible to ask for this conditional use. For
Okay,
relief
all
from
right.
the setbacks.
I
and lot
misread
size.
that. Okay, that's fine. Question for the applicant, what's the intended use for the flex space?
Yes,
Yeah,
if
please.
you wouldn't mind.
Phone records, so come up here, that'd be great.
The flex space would be used for storage.
Okay,
As part of the narrative, it talked about, I have a small basement, but it's only accessed through the outside, the Wizard of Oz outdoors, and very little space. Most of it's taken up by water heater, things like that. So it'd be great to have this flex space to expand storage for the home.
so it's not intended for any habitation, like people staying overnight or anything, living there or anything like that?
No.
Then I would just say maybe we should have in the notes that habitation is not allowed in the conditional use, just so we make that clear for any future time. And then again, Tim had the comment about downspouts and gutters. You're saying that they do, or that that's still needed?
They currently have gutters, downspouts and gutters on their garage that go to the north.
But the plans for the new building?
Plans did not show them clearly.
Okay,
So I would, if they use the same system, they can, it'll replicate what's there now, which is not been a problem.
okay. And do your plans have gutters and downspouts?
That was actually intentional not to include them. I added them to the garage when I purchased the home, and the lot line is lined with big pine trees. So I've been having to pull pine needles out of my gutters all the time, and so they really aren't functioning because as they fill up every day, the water's been spilling over. Another thought was that if they were working, again, then we've got all this water going to the back alleyway, and if it was just coming down off the side of the garage, would that mitigate or lessen the amount of water going down into the alleyway?
My only comment on that is the side that's to the west, you know, that water that comes off the garage because of how close it is does drain towards the neighbor. So right now, it gets in the gutters and goes to the alley, does not go onto the neighbor's property. So If you don't have gutters on the west side, then that water is going to go to the next neighbor's property, the neighbor's property. So I'm concerned about that. There's case law that say you're not supposed to dump water onto your neighbor's property. That's the simple.
Could I ask, has that been an issue that's brought up? I'm not aware of that ever
Not
being
been an issue, but you've got gutters on your garage right now, so.
And so you're talking about my neighbor directly to the west?
To the west.
Yep,
Is that,
okay.
I hope I got that.
Yep.
Yes, to the west.
kind of
Yes,
southwest,
Yes.
yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. I would say if there's no gutters on the east side, that goes onto your property. I don't have as much problem with that. It'll drain through the grass to the alley eventually, or to Marshall Street. So
I think
it'll go through the
ultimately
grass,
this
which
a
is not so
pretty-
bad.
Yeah, excuse me. I think ultimately it's a pretty easy thing to fix, is for us to just install them if that was a mitigating factor, limiting factor as to whether it could happen or not. Happy to put them up. That was just kind of our thought process.
We could just require it on the west side, right?
From an engineering
They want-
perspective, yes.
That's the concern is the west lot line, right?
Right.
So just,
That's where the neighbor is close.
Right.
And
Yeah. No, that makes
No
sense.
problem.
So then I would suggest that in making a motion that that be included in there. I don't think I have anything else. You guys have
Would you like
anything?
to make the motion then?
Well, do you guys have any other comments, questions?
no, I've owned multiple properties like this, and I understand the pain of it there.
Oh, every property's
Yeah,
non-conforming.
having years ago been worked over by the Plan Commission. Very sympathetic to these cases.
For your
All right.
empathy.
I'll make a motion to approve the update of the garage as submitted in the plans in our packet, with one exception being the addition of gutters and downspouts, at least on the west side of that building, and that we add into the conditional use that the building cannot be used for habitation. I think I got it all.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Good luck. Good luck.
The habitation thing, so my son, when he graduates.
You telling me can't move in there? Yes.
Yeah.
The law won't allow it.
Seen that going
Okay, item C, conditional use grant request of applicant Logic Design and Architecture, Inc., Incio Adam Stein, to add a food pickup window on the east building elevation, add an outdoor seating, dining area, and make related site plan amendments to support of the restaurant use in the eastmost tenant space of this multi-tenant business building site located at 1350 Capitol Drive. This 2.63 acre B1 community business zone property is owned by Shevlin Properties III LLC, NCO Larry Shevlin. I hope everyone's had a chance to go over the plans and everything. Are there any questions or comments that you'd like to make to the planner and engineer?
Can we have them review everything, because there's a lot of pieces to this?
Can we have who?
The staff review it, since there's a lot of pieces to this.
Yes, we can.
So what's being asked here is really just a small set of modifications to the building and site plan at 1350 Capitol Drive. It's the east end tenant space, which is currently Moe's Southwest Grill operating at that site. So the building owner is asking for permission to install on that east wall a pickup window, not a drive-through. There's no drive-through facilities, order boards, anything like that. It's strictly for pre-ordered food to be collected by vehicles driving up to the pickup window and leaving. So it involves certain site plan details that I'll let Tim talk about in terms of circulation. Vehicles will be coming in off of Green Hedge, entering the site from the south, traveling north to the window, and then leaving to the north and east or north and west. From the site plan standpoint, The only changes that I really took into account were just the details of the clearance bars, the details of the outside seating area that they're going to establish on the north side of the building near the entry door, and then the relocation of the dumpster itself. So the dumpster is currently on that east lot line. It's in bad condition, and it takes up parking where they would like to have the parking located. So they're going to relocate that down into the berm that sits between the building and green hedge now. From the conditions standpoint on my end of the review, I asked for full execution of the document and recording prior to start of work at the site, issuance of a building permit prior to start of work, staff review and approval of the type and configuration of tables, chairs, umbrellas, and related accessories to be put in the outdoor seating area before it's put there. It's a uniform condition that we attach, make sure things are windproof, et cetera, in that area. Number 4, that the applicant provide for village staff review and approval before project completion. A suitable landscaping plan is if one is determined necessary by village staff around the relocated dumpster. So it's difficult for me to tell from the plans whether, and if so, how much of that dumpster enclosure will be visible from Green Hedge, because there's an existing berm and some existing plantings, and it may not be visible at all, so there might not be any landscaping needed. But if there is, we'd like the opportunity to come back, talk to you about installing some select landscaping in order to ensure the screening. And then also in that condition, the next condition down, and I said let's do that within 12 months of completion. The next condition down was just that there is one tree being removed on the east side of the parking area right now. I'd like to see it replaced, and a plan for that can be brought for staff review and approval rather than just take it out. Finally, that the village engineer have the opportunity to review and approve all of the grading, drainage, utility, and so forth.
Tim?
As far as that grading goes, the current grading pattern for this is basically sheet flows off the existing asphalt into a swale that's on that east side, goes to the north into a catch basin that takes it to, I think, a ditch and Capitol Drive or storm sewer. Anyway, the difference here is they're going to redo the pavement, and they're going to put in a curb on that east side, and that therefore they'll have a solid they'll be able to catch the water there. They're going to let it flow to the north, and then have a flume that comes off the pavement and goes down very close into that that catch basin area there. So the drainage pattern doesn't change. And then I think the more I wouldn't say critical issue, but the issue that I have discussed with the applicant a few times is just the access and how the vehicles drive through the site a little bit. And initially they wanted two-way traffic. It was determined at time of application that they would go with a one-way traffic, so it will go south to north. I indicated that because of the way the vehicles come from the east to the west, so they come out of, I think it's Noodles there. As they come to the west, they really cut the corner into this site, and then they zip kind of to the west, or they used to zip to the south to Green Hedge. So we're going to want to make sure cars do not that understand the new pattern, which means you cannot continue on to Green Hedge from the south. You can't make that turn and continue directly south. It's now going to have, you can see that their plan had some do not enter pavement markings, a large or light or long, a white line that indicates that there's going to be a stop, in essence, a way to stop people there, as well as people going eastbound will have to stop basically at the northeast corner of this building. So when they make a turn, they make a turn to the south, to the north, and not to the south on that. So I'm recommending a couple of additional items. The first one is a do not enter sign that would be placed basically near the northeast corner of the building, maybe a little bit closer to the curve where the curve starts for the radius of the curb. That sign would just give you that do not enter, the red and white do not enter symbol and sign. So visually they could see it as opposed to what's on the ground. Secondly, there's, as I mentioned, as cars come out of Noodles and get to this site, they kind of cut the corner as sharp as they can, where now there will be cars coming out of this drive-up window, and they're going to continue on potentially straight to that intersection. And so my suggestion is to have a white line, the marking where, you know, there's northbound and southbound at that kind of that area to the north of this this particular site. Also,
I'm sorry, Tim, so you're talking about when, like, someone comes out of Noodles, if they jog left as though they're going towards Moe's, that there would be signage to say you got to turn left now to go straight?
No, it would just be a line that would show, so as they come out of Moe's and they're going west, a lot of them just snake, I'll say snake through, like they make a left turn, then they make a quick right that goes in front of Moe's.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see from the aerial photo kind of the traffic pattern that's created there. Now we're changing that pattern a little bit because it's not, you're going to have vehicles coming through this pickup window and now maybe queuing down to the south.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how many cars we're going to have at any one time. That's going to cause a problem, but the natural pattern is to kind of cut that corner from Noodles. I don't know if you have a picture of that up here or not. Cut the corner,
I do
you know,
now.
and what?
I do now.
Okay. So it's, yeah, it's coming out of there, and you can kind of see what they do there. They do that little swing through there. And if we had a line that demarks, like a center line that says that, hey, there's going to be both, in that little area, there's both northbound and southbound traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want cars coming out of the pickup window and going straight to that corner because then they're on the wrong side of that intersection, basically. So a line would help that. It's not a major item. And then the only other thing is at Green Hedge, we probably would have them add an exit arrow on the ground to show they're proposing an entrance arrow, and then we would indicate an exit arrow there because people that come from the west behind the building could still exit that site at that location. The other recommendation is to have some kind of riprap or other solution at that flume where the water goes out of the curb so we don't have a bunch of erosion on that. Initially, I thought that they were going to depress the sidewalk at the driveway. I don't think that was the case. Are you just replacing the sidewalk there, the same elevation in a new approach? And so that I have no issues with that anymore.
Okay.
Any questions?
So-
I know it's a little tricky there, but.
So no plans of painting on the asphalt, the big giant arrows to show which direction things, I mean, there's one sort of there now, it's very, very faded, but, you know.
You know, you're saying beyond the pickup window.
Yeah.
I can only, my experience is only, we have a similar situation with the McDonald's up off Orion, where you have a drive-through lane and another lane that goes around the building, come in the same. And my experience is that, you know, you have to just watch out if there's another car coming to your side. I haven't really heard of any problems at that McDonald's. I don't like that situation, but it was kind of, they'll merge together in some way, but it's not going to be backed up traffic because of the merging movement. That's my opinion on that.
Just my opinion, but since, you know, 'cause that building's been there for what, 20-some years, when you have a change in traffic pattern, people are used to things being a certain way. And I think everything we can do, you know, both where the blue line is now, to kind of help people realize that there's a change in direction here, as well as the pass-through, that we just got to make it very, very obvious, because otherwise you will have people that aren't paying attention and they'll come up the wrong way, because they're just used to doing that.
Right.
You know, they'll ignore the signs, and I just think from a safety perspective, everything we can do to make it obvious, very painfully obvious, that, you know, there's been a change, will just avoid problems. You know, in time, everyone get used to that, but like I said, what you described, I do. So, I'm just telling you.
I'll be
that's-
watching for you.
Yes,
One
right.
other thing just to keep in mind is that the drive-through lane or the pickup window lane is gonna be concrete and the parking lot will be asphalt. So there will be a change, there'll be a different color of the drive-through lane. If I'm, based on what I'm seeing on the plans, that's correct, Larry? Yep. Okay, so you'll see a difference in color, you know, and so that might be a trigger to say something's different here. But it'll take a while for people to change their habits a little bit there. Now, all the traffic, whether it's Noodles coming this way or people parking in this parking lot, they're gonna have to go out to the west or go over to Meadowbrook, or go around and come back out on through Noodles and come out on Green Hedge. So there'll be some changing patterns out there once people get used to where they need to go and which way they want to go.
What about a simple standing sign? On one side has the stop sign for the traffic going south to north, and on the other side, no through traffic as people come around that curve where the elevation is between the concrete and the asphalt.
If that sign is just sitting out there alone, it's a little bit more challenging than if you had, I don't want to suggest an island, but I mean, an island protects that sign a little bit, but I would imagine that sign will get hit numerous times, and it's going to be a little bit, I understand the concept, but I'm not sure if it's going to be effective or not. Maybe a temporary sign like that would be good.
Temporary sign? I mean, I'd be comfortable with that. Again, this has been there 20 years. Noodles draws in not our most
But I like
seasoned drivers, shall we say.
I was waiting to see how you were going to spell that out.
I was too.
He was getting a little nervous here.
Yeah, and I'm just a little bit concerned because for those that don't frequent that area, it is a very high rate of speed in a very short distance. So that's just would be my concerns as well.
Based on a note I saw on the plan, and I'm willing to do just about anything to make sure this restaurant goes in. But I am concerned about, obviously the front and the address and everything is going to take you, like if you go to pick up the food, it's going to take you to the front of that building, right? And you see the restaurant from the street. But now you got to somehow get out or go all the way around. And that's really my concern. And it's a big building to go around, to come back around, or you got to go back out around Noodles and the other one and come back around to come in there. I'm not opposed to it. I just think we need excellent signage. So that's all. So my concerns is that it's just going one way on there. Like most drive-throughs, even if you come in from the wrong entrance, somehow you can just quickly recognize and loop around. Like this one, you know, if you come in the wrong way, all of a sudden you're doing a 3-point turn to get back into the pickup lane on here.
Well, they could go all the way around the building. And,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's
Or park in front and walk to the window.
yeah.
That's what I was saying.
listen.
I do think that, I mean, once again, it is a change, but, you know,
Yeah.
once people have been through it one time, they'll understand it.
I mean, if you're comfortable with it, I'm absolutely, I'm good with it.
It's changing habits for people, but people tend to find the shortest way, one way or the other, depending on which way they want to go. I mean, it might take a little time, but that's the nature of drivers, is they'll find the shortest, quickest way to get wherever they need to go.
Even if it's
So
over a
question,
curb.
anything that we've discussed in terms of enhancing just those directional signages, whether it's painting on the pavement or any of those things, any concerns with that? Just make it super painfully obvious. So, okay.
I just have a question. Thinking off the wall, if they were coming to us and making this a real drive-through, okay, what would you be still thinking the same way you're thinking now?
I think there'd be a lot more issues because you have to have queuing lines for the drive-through. And coming off a Green Hedge, we would say you can't start the queuing line. I mean, if there's no one in line, sure, you can just zip right in, but you would almost have to tell people then to bypass the drive-through window, go all the way around, and then start queuing behind the building. You know, and then turn the corner. So it gets to be a bigger challenge for the queuing, and I mean, the issue is you got to have, whether it's a drive-through or a pickup window, you got to have it on the side that they have it on there. You have to have the traffic going that way, unless you go there with someone all the time and they pick it up in the passenger side.
Can I ask, is this gonna be mostly for like app-based, like delivery drivers, this window, or is it for?
It's 100% app-based. So there's no money exchanged through the window. Everything's ordered ahead of time online.
And then they know it's there, so they're not like waiting, they're just showing up, getting their order and going, right? Yeah.
And in the event you get there early, there's some overflow parking that's available.
Okay.
It's called a loading zone for people to go to in the event they get there a few minutes early.
Okay.
How are you gonna handle, just out of curiosity, the person who drives up to the window and says, well, I know what I want, can I just order it now, and then they're gonna have to go around? Okay. I just asked the question because a lot of people like using the drive-through, and I hate to have you have to redo everything again because now you want to make it a drive-through. You know, but it's your business model. I'm just kind of letting you know there is a lot more to it if you do that route. So, are there any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Craig, you wanna?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use grant as outlined by the planner and the engineer with request to enhance the signage for traffic flow as much as possible and to work with staff on possible landscaping for the dumpster area, the new dumpster area. Did I forget anything?
I think you got it all.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Conditional use grant is hereby adopted. Thank you, gentlemen.
When would these changes possibly take place? Timing.
Well, I'm the owner, and I couldn't be soon enough. These big national tenants have their processes. And
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
things. You'll be seeing them next. Plan method of operation.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item D, review, discussion, and possible building site review, discussion, and possible building, site, and operating plan approval of property owner Goff Industries LLC and CO agent Marsh wish of Walter Buildings to construct a new 8,190 square foot accessory storage building in support of the existing light industrial use on the 5.68 acre B5 light industrial zone property located at 700 Hickory Street. Does the commission have questions for our experts as it relates to this topic? I should say, Craig, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do, actually,
That's
Jeff.
what I figured.
Mary, so for the B5, do we have any architectural design standards in place? Because for most places in the village, an all steel siding without any stone or anything, generally we don't do.
Right. right? In our B5 district, we refer to buildings having similar architectural appearance to buildings in other areas, such as Brookfield and some other places that we recite specifically. We don't necessarily prohibit the use of metal building materials, but they're supposed to be incidental. I actually have to open the language to freshen up on that.
Because in your recommendations, you do have something about a masonry base not less than 4 feet high from grade, but the drawings don't reflect that. So that's why I was asking.
Yep, I'm gonna.
Any other questions or comments? Do I have a
Well,
motion?
we're waiting on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mary to,
I'm sorry, I didn't say, I thought I heard it. Everybody say okay.
No, I think it's, I mean, it's a pretty ugly area right now. The story, you know, what's out there right now. So it'll be good to get that. Once again, back to my days of running down that way, Jeff, you know, that's the 1 mile mark for me right there.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, to me,
So-
the issue is more of if we
Right.
have specific standards.
Right, and I was
Going forward,
correct,
if we
to make
allow
sure that
one,
we stay
then-
consistent with what we have done and what we've made others do in the past.
Or
there.
what we want to make sure is done in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, that building's pretty old to begin with. This will be protected by the greenery, but if the greenery dies, you have the building right across that is much nicer looking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it's a hodgepodge on Hickory the whole way through from here to the fencing folks, so.
this is true.
But again, going forward.
But
anything we can do.
One by one, the commission has done a good job of, as the buildings have come in front of us, of putting forth. I mean, you look at Hickory 10 years ago versus Hickory today.
5 years ago.
Yeah. 5 years ago, you know, it's night and day.
So I just want to point to what's up on the screen now. Here's where we talk about the material requirements. New retail and office building construction should consist of quality materials such as brick, stone, wood, and glass. New industrial building construction may also use decorative concrete block in addition to the above listed materials. Plan Commission may, however, allow the use of metal building components, exterior finish installation, EIFS systems, and concrete block if it's incidental to the primary building architecture, screened from public view, or used to reflect existing building architecture. So in this case, the existing building architecture is concrete block in the base of the building and vertical metal panels in the top 1/3 of the building, roughly. And so that, together with this next paragraph, building design and compatibility, proposed office and retail should reflect traditional architectural styles, et cetera. Proposed industrial building design should reflect contemporary standards of quality building design, such as, and we talked about the Brookfield Park and Pewaukee Woods, et cetera. Extended expanses of walls should be broken up with window fenestration. So those are our guide points for architectural design and materials. That's it.
Have you had discussion with the applicant about having that 4-foot course of masonry?
I have not had a conversation with him about it. He saw my staff report and responded with a copy of plans that I don't believe were in your packet, but we have them. Yeah. And I can open those right here. So these came in after the packets went out. And what he proposes is to use this bicolor system. And this is a metal panel in the wainscot height. And this is a metal panel above and the metal roof. So I feel like it would be reasonable. I know they feel, in talking with him previously, he feels that the building is situated in kind of a discrete location. I disagree with that to a certain extent. I find it very visible from Hickory Street. Certainly from the north, when you're looking at it from Hickory, and then Hickory turns hard, so you can see it from the east as well. And right now, the leaves are out, and I can see the spot where the current materials are being stored, which is the footprint of the new building. So I felt like it would be reasonable to at least require that they put a masonry material in the wainscot height all the way around, certainly on the north side, certainly on the west side, but probably all the way around is really the right way to go.
Well, from a usage standpoint, I don't have any problem with it. And actually, it'll, rather than having a bunch of stuff sit out open on a lot, this is an improvement, so I don't have a problem with it. My concern, though, would be that what we approve versus what's been submitted are two different things. And I don't know how we approve something that they may not be willing to do either. So, I mean,
His tack has been, and I've actually worked with him on other projects, his tack has been, this is what we're proposing. And you can, I think what you can do is make if you're recommending an approval tonight, or if you're actually approving the plan tonight, it would be subject to the conditions as written in the staff report, instead of just one side or two sides being masonry material to the wainscot, make it all four sides and let that stand as your condition of approval. If they don't elect to build the building on account of that, that's their prerogative.
It is, and I mean, the commission, you guys do that quite frequently, where you approve things with conditions that aren't necessarily part of the submitted plan, but based on staff's recommendation. So you have latitude to do that, especially considering that this is not a conditional use, this is a building site and operating plan. You have standards in your code that you have to use as guide points, as said. So if he elects not to, I mean, the applicant's not here either. If he elects to have that any sort of condition is, well, I'm not going to build it, I mean, that's really his prerogative.
Yep, and they can come back again with a revised plan. They wanna try some other approach.
okay, all right. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I would like to see some consistency. I'd like to see what Mary is.
The only thing is I don't want to confine them to the material, the specific material, like we say, a masonry type material approved by staff. Because if they have like some metal building type, there's a lot of different materials out there, like the faux block that look, pretty good, and let the staff make the decision. So maybe establish height to match existing building at minimum of masonry height to match existing building, something like that, and then just let the staff determine it.
You
Yeah,
can
and I
do
think
that.
that's
This
actually-
building's a little unusual in that respect. It has, its masonry base is higher.
Okay.
I can pull up the street view.
And actually, her recommendation has that in there for staff review and approval.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's already baked in.
But you're adding in all sides of the building, not just west and north sides. With the
Good point.
masonry.
Good point.
So that would be a major change in that.
So it's about halfway up, I guess. I would estimate that's probably 5 feet.
Yeah.
Midway up the doors. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Say 5 feet.
if you want to say 5 feet, that's fine.
Okay.
There's no plans for them to remove, I mean, obviously they'll remove some greenery, but they're not gonna clear that out.
I can't tell you that I know precisely how much of this, well, their plan might actually show it now that I think
Yeah,
about
I
that.
mean,
I think where the
It does show.
existing stone is where they're gonna put the building. I think it matches pretty well based on that aerial photo.
Yeah, I
showed us.
don't think it does overlap beyond that.
Okay, thank you.
No, I feel okay with that, you know, because it does relatively represent the existing building, so we have consistency there too, so.
There.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the construction of the accessory building as presented with the planner's recommendation,
Yeah.
with the exception that the
Are we doing that to that?
all four sides should have masonry products 5 feet from grade. That suffice?
And Tim.
Hit it all.
And Tim's recommendation.
And Tim's recommendations as well, engineer's recommendations.
I'm sorry, you said all four sides?
All four sides, yes. 5 feet high, all four sides.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That include the engineer's
Yes.
recommendations?
Yes.
Do we wanna, can we bring something up?
Oh, boy. Well, we haven't, yeah,
Yeah, you have a motion.
We can amend, I can amend mine if there's,
Okay, Mary was asking about my recommendation is that they get a delineation of the wetland. You go out there, there's a lot of cattails.
well, it's in your recommendations, right?
Yes, is everybody clear that they probably won't be able to get that until springtime?
Yeah.
You can't delineate it now, but. Okay, is that?
do
it's-
wetlands really change? I mean, because, we certainly can look and see where wetland,
Well, it's not
designations
mapped,
are.
it's not mapped as wetlands, but if you go out there, there's wetland vegetation, so, you know, from a professional standpoint, you'd say, well, someone should delineate those, so we're not disturbing the wetland. You know, partly their responsibility, but I think it's a little bit of our responsibility to be watching out for that, and that's why I made that comment, is we should know where that delineation is. I think Mary's asking for a survey of the property as well, so. That's the 500-year floodplain. So it's, we're not regulating floodplain, but, so there definitely is wetland plants around that area, so whether they're, maybe it's such a small area that they don't have to get a permit for it, but that's something that wetlands are generated like that, and sometimes they're regulated and sometimes they're not regulated. But
what is the hash, the gray hash, what does that represent?
This is floodplain.
Okay,
This
and-
green is
and that happens to be
wetlands.
500-year floodplain, which is we don't regulate that. so.
Right.
okay.
This is wetland. This is wetland.
Okay. But the motion has, including engineer's recommendations, which looks for that, the delineation.
Just so the commission understands, like Tim said, making them get a delineation, the delineation season is over this year.
Right, yes.
So they're not gonna be able to get that, put that on a survey till April.
Till growing season, whenever that.
Yeah, so, I mean, just so the commission's aware that it is gonna push back, which, that's the reality of it, but just so that, you know, for the commission's information, it's gonna push back the time.
Could we say, or a DNR sign-off of some sort? Sometimes they will, short of doing a delineation, I've seen them do it on a deck, for instance. You can go out and point mark your deck footprint, and they will do an exclusion. They'll go around the perimeter and tell you if it's excluded from wetland.
I mean, if they're gonna stay on the pavement, though, I don't.
It's not paved, I think that's just,
Or
Stone.
asphalt, right? Well, if there's gravel, that's already not gonna count for a wetland, right? It's already been. I mean, it's not gonna be ephemeral water there or anything, so there's any growth that they're gonna be able to tell that is delineate that as a wetland, right? So if they stay on the gravel.
Well, whether they're asking for a 90 by 90 building, right? We don't really, I mean, they've kind of showed it on the aerial using GIS numbers, and it looks good, but their construction equipment will likely go around that building in some way, so they're gonna disturb outside that footprint. Not necessarily to build up, but to put in the slab.
Right.
They might do that. It's always a red flag. When there's wetland, there's always a red flag. We should at least talk about it. It's not mapped, but there's a lot of wetlands that aren't mapped, and that's when someone develops it, they typically say, well, there's indicators of wetlands there, so probably should get it delineated if there's indicators. That's the general rule of when we look at development.
Well, we're near the middle of December, so for this kind of a building where they're pouring a slab and so forth, what's the likelihood that anyone would want to do that in January? Anyway, I mean, I would think that that would be held off until spring because
These days, if the weather's warm, they'll get out there and start building it.
what we're talking about is a delay of a couple of months at most.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I think this is not like someone's home or somebody's.
They can't open for business.
Yeah, right. They've existed this long without it. This is like a nice to have, not a need to have type thing. So, if Tim is concerned about this, and I guess we should.
I just want to know, if we have the survey, we can get the offsets and setbacks corrected, and we know that those are right. We know where the building's going to be. We know where the wetland is. At least then we can feel comfortable. I would feel more comfortable knowing that. Having an aerial, it's a little like, okay. I don't want someone to come back and someone's digging in that wetland and they're gonna call staff, I guess Scott, and say, hey, there's someone digging in the wetland out there, and we're gonna say,
So do we want to?
we didn't know that.
No, that's okay. Excuse my ignorance. On that map, we have the green as listed as the wetlands.
Yeah.
We do not have anything over there currently. So if it's what we see currently, and there's no green, there's no wetlands already stated today when we're looking at this, devil's advocate, why would we be concerned with it?
Because I went out there, looked at it. Cattails are wetland plants.
Okay, so you were out there, you saw them.
We've seen it, staff has seen it, that there's no doubt that someone would call that a wetland. Whether it's regulated as a wetland or not, that's not a decision I make, that's the DNR
Okay.
decision.
Well, ultimately,
Thank
what
you.
the risk
Thank you.
would be for them in terms of this project is if the wetland is delineated and all of a sudden that gray area now turns green, there's an issue in terms of them building right there, correct?
There's certain setbacks there.
We have setback for
50-foot
wetland.
setback?
Yeah.
Oh, from the setback, from the wetland
wetland.
setback. It's minor. It's,
Yeah.
in fact, here, it's whatever the village engineer determines is necessary
what I
to
thought.
ensure there's no construction damage in the wetland.
So
Remember that one now.
Since we
Yep.
don't know what the
It's
word
not
wetland is, you can't give
designated
a
now.
We didn't give a recommendation, there we go.
wetland
Yeah.
designation is a weird thing. So can we establish a boundary for the wetland survey? Like, because their property is huge, so I wouldn't want them doing an entire wetland survey, right? Do we say?
They can determine the wetland around the building site.
Okay,
That's really all they have to do.
Within-
Where is it? Where in let's just say in the building, in the land disturbance area, where is
Okay.
that wetland? And that might dictate, if it's.
yeah, if we say land
if it's
disturbance
tight,
area and they
They
say,
might have to
yeah,
squeeze that building down to something else.
I would be more comfortable that way, saying the
Yep.
land disturbance area, because then they say, oh, we don't need to disturb that area. And then they can,
Right.
they move it or whatever, so.
So do we need to amend what's been motioned and second?
I don't think so.
Was mine included in your motion?
Yeah, it was.
You want to define that, though, as a wetland delineation covering the proposed building area?
Tim's recommendation kind of already covers that. Delineating the wetland, showing the building location, wetland and plat survey.
Sure that wetland disturbance will not take place. So I think that covers it.
That's implying the disturbance area. but not-
Right, so if they aren't disturbing anything that would be considered wetland, it's not affected. So,
I think that's sufficient. I don't
okay.
think that
Tim, have you ever seen wetland plantings and that in areres where there is no wetland?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
So it could just be there
Most of
by
Kewaunee.
happenstance.
Anything along Hickory by the river is,
Yeah, Summers.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Summerstone property down on Capitol?
Where Chick-fil-A and all that is.
Yeah.
There was wetland vegetation found on that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that
In the
this
middle
is,
of
could be one of those
compacted stone
circumstances.
base, there were wetland plants.
I think there still are. I think there are cattails there now.
Those are in the ditch. Those
The
are
new
in
ones
ditch.
are in the stormwater ponds, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, there's, any piece of land, it could look like green grass out there, but if the soils are right and there's wetland vegetation somewhere in those, your Kentucky bluegrass, the DNR would technically consider that a wetland. So you'd be surprised.
Of course they would.
That's why this is so obvious. It's like, well, it's hard to ignore from my standpoint. It's hard to ignore, hey, how can you miss it? It's what cattails there. That's definitely a wetland plant.
Sort of like the garter snake, somebody throws a bunch of garter snakes in there, it's just the only way you can build.
yeah.
Not anymore. Those are good now, I think.
Oh, you can start killing them all the time.
You gotta put the
It's the
exclusion,
bumblebee now, or
the exclusion fence is,
the
takes care of those.
long-eared red bat or something.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any more discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. There is no citizens at the meeting any further. Item 8, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Grabowski, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you have a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Hope you're gonna have